Now in our trip, we approach Murdoch Children Research Institute in Melbourne, Australia. CCRN site Monash University. Research Monday, October 12th.
Dr. Corben, thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be wonderful to learn about everything that you guys have going on in Australia. For the Global Challenge, we are finally in Australia and we're really excited.
Welcome to Australia, Carl. We're really excited to have you here. It's sunny and warm and, just lovely to have you here. Thanks for having me today.
Beautiful. So can you give us a little overview of all the research that you guys have going on in Australia?
Sure. Look, I'll just perhaps share some slides that might help explain it, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah, of course.
Based in Melbourne, Australia, at the Murdoch Children's Research Institute. Australia, as you can see, is miles away from the rest of the world. We feel like it sometimes, but we are doing quite a bit down here. Our group is led by Professor Martin Debilitating and myself, Jen Tai, our fantastic research assistant, Sarah Milne, Epi Yu, Louise Crow, Ian Woodcock, Varley Scott and Catherine Letchke form the core of our group, which is great, but we do reach out to many other people. The group is really committed to finding a treatment that will halt Friedreich's ataxia or ultimately find a cure. But at the same time, we're very committed to making sure that people with Friedreich's can maximise their potential right now. And so we can provide interventions that are available to someone right now in clinical care right now.
Yeah, I think that's such an important concept and something that each individual sort of wrestles with themselves, like effort being spent on making every single day count with an eye on the long term and the treatment and the cure. I think that's a wonderful concept. I like it.
Great. That's great.
So can you tell us how many people do you serve? How many people in Australia are you in contact with FA?
Well, in Australia, we've got about 25 million people. About a third of those are Indigenous Australians. And as you can see, we're kind of scattered around a vast land. And we have about 168 people that are actively involved in our clinical research program in Australia. We are based right down here at the bottom of Australia in Victoria, and as you can see, a lot of these people are centred in Victoria, but we do also have scattered, as I said, scattered around Australia, and not many in remote areas as well. So you can imagine the distance that one has to travel between, say, Victoria and Perth. It takes, a good 6 hours flight to get from one to the other, and so it's challenging in terms of making sure that we meet all the needs of people with Friedreich's.
Yeah, when I was there, that was one of the things that amazed me was the sort of the unity of the community, if you will, despite the extreme separation just geographically, that seems like that's a challenge that I identified when I was in Australia that might be there, and you guys seem to be overcoming that quite well.
Yeah, we certainly, I think we're used to traveling vast distances to get to places, so
yeah,
part of living. Yeah,
beautiful. So can you talk about some of the things that you're actually doing day to day in your group?
Sure. Yeah, look, The first thing is, which we're really excited about, is that we are the Australian site for the natural history study. We've been doing that for many years. So we're part of the CCRN network in Friedreich ataxia, which is really exciting that we feel that we can contribute a lot of data to that study. And we're very grateful for our people with Friedreich's who participate in that. We also are very committed to working towards biomarkers and endpoints. You know, clinical trials are only really as good as what we measure them with. And, you know, we've all gone through the agony of perhaps clinical trials not quite meeting the endpoints and the frustration with that. So one of the things that we continue to work on is making sure that we have really sensitive and accurate outcome measures that can be used for clinical trials. And so we spend a lot of time doing that. So we are the Australian site for TRACK-FA, which is a neuroimaging, a really exciting neuroimaging study that has just been announced. We look at instrumented measures of ataxia, and that's been really an exciting example, I suppose, of how we can collaborate, but also the importance of right ataxia. So the first study of that was actually funded by the first Right Ataxia Europe Award combined with a FARA award. And we were really excited to be the recipients of that, to develop, believe it or not, an instrumented spoon that actually measures upper limb movement in Friedreich ataxia. And this is a really sensitive measure, far more sensitive than what we have at the moment in terms of measuring what it is that's unique to the movement of individuals with Friedreich ataxia, which is important for clinical trials that we hope will be improving that function. We're also a site for pharmaceutical trials. So we're the Australian site for the MOXIE omavaloxolone trial. We are conducting a trial on resveratrol, which is the randomised control trial, which is a follow-up to the open label that we were very excited to conduct, and we were funded through the Kyle Bryant Award for that. So that was the genesis of that. So that's very exciting, and it's gone on to a much larger multi-site ICT, and we will be the site for PTC 743. So that's an exciting component that we're able to do as well. And again, we're grateful to our individuals with Friedreich's who are happy to participate in those trials. Excitingly, we're all aware that we were moving towards gene therapy, which is incredibly exciting. But the important thing is, while our scientists are working towards developing vectors and the best way of delivering, we are committed to ensuring that each of our clinical sites are ready for a gene therapy trial. And for that reason, the Australian Friedreich ataxia Stem Cell and Gene Therapy Consortium was commenced earlier this year, and that's now become an international collaboration with FARA to ensure that all the sites internationally are going to be ready. So the work we're doing here, we've been able to roll out to other sites, which has been really incredibly exciting. And at the same time, as I mentioned, we do want to make sure that we can deliver the best quality care to individuals with Friedreich's. And so we have clinical trials on interventions that can work now, like rehabilitation or neuromodulation. And we do provide ongoing clinical care to individuals with Friedreich's. We've got a clinic in Melbourne and a clinic in Brisbane. COVID has been a challenge, but we have continued to provide our clinics via telehealth so that individuals with Friedreich's don't miss out on their important care. And a really exciting component that's come out, probably related to COVID as well, that we've been able to focus on it is we're updating the clinical management guidelines for Friedreich's. And this is funded by FARA and driven by FARA, and a wonderful example of how clinicians come together. We've got 70 international clinicians working as we speak on different topics related to care of Friedreich. So it's been exciting.
Oh, that's really encouraging. And that's such an important piece that a lot of people have made use of. So I really appreciate all the work on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, no, we are. We're excited by it. Yeah. And the important aspect of also is being able to include individuals with Friedreich's in that component. So that's been great.
Beautiful.
So that's kind of what we're doing, but also what's exciting is that we've been able to introduce some new researchers that have come into the area of Friedreich. So we're we're really excited that we've got young enthusiastic researchers coming into the space, and they're also in Melbourne. And perhaps if I could just share a little bit about them.
Yeah, please.
So the first is Max Lim and John Louise from the O'Brien Institute, which is also located in Melbourne. And John Louise actually recently won the FARA Postdoctoral Research Award, which is really exciting, for his work on cardiac iPS cells, which is really exciting. And I'll just try and move on. We've also got Dr. Lim here, who's focused also on stem cell technology. He's also working with us in terms of gene therapy, new gene therapy developments. And also Seth Masters and Elizabeth Malazani. And they were the recipients of the Award for Innovative Mindset for their work on neuroinflammation in Friedreich. So we are so excited to have some new researchers coming through.
That's what it's all about, right? Is kind of passing the torch and keeping the research going all the time and improving all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just keeping that enthusiasm up is fantastic.
Yeah. So I happen to know that you are enthusiastic about what you do and very passionate about what you do. And I wanted you to share maybe a little bit about why you love what you do.
It's a good question, Carl. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for asking. So I suppose I've been working with individuals with Friedreich's for the last 20 years, and I started work as a clinician. And firstly, I was really humbled by the people I work with who had Friedreich ataxia, firstly by their resilience and their capacity to teach me about Friedreich's. I learnt more from working with people with Friedreich's, and I continue to do that. And so I just was really delighted in my clinical work. But the second thing was also I was incredibly frustrated because there was not a lot I could do. Issues came up and I really didn't know the answer. So it started me on my research career because I felt I was committed to trying to find an answer and to try and find a way to cure this disease. And so that's why I've remained passionate. And as I said, I learn more from working with Friedreich's. I learn more from individuals with Friedreich's than I do from any other source, and am humbled and keen to make a difference. So that's what drives my passion.
Well, we appreciate your passion so much and all of your contributions to the international FA research community. It was wonderful to talk to you, and I hope to see you in person very soon.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you for all you do. We are so grateful to the support of FARA for their support of our research. It's just extraordinary. We couldn't do what we do without their support. But importantly, for all the work you do for Right Ataxia, it's fantastic. So thank you, and come on down very soon.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Thanks. See ya.